Park Dae-ho stood on the observation deck of the colony's main building. He watched the sun set over New Eden's green fields. The crops grew well here. The air was clean. 50,000 people called this place home now. He had been the colony administrator for 8 years. Before that, he was a soldier on Earth. Those days felt like another lifetime. Here on New Eden, his biggest problems were water recycling and crop rotation schedules. He liked it that way. Administrator Park, called a voice behind him. He turned to see Dr. Yoon Mi-rae walking toward him. She looked worried. Her lab coat was wrinkled like she had been working for hours without rest. "What is it, doctor?" Park asked. He had learned to trust Mi-rae's instincts. She was smart, very smart. If something worried her, it was worth listening to. "We picked up strange signals at the edge of the system," she said. "Big ships. Really big. They're not ours." Park felt something cold in his stomach. "How many ships?" "Our sensors count at least 200. Maybe more. They're still too far away to get clear readings." Park nodded slowly. In all his years as administrator, no alien ships had ever come to New Eden. The colony was far from the main trade routes. Most aliens didn't even know humans lived out here. "Have you told Nam Hyun-soo?" Park asked. Nam was their defense coordinator. He used to be a military man too, like Park. I called him first. He's trying to contact the ships now. No response, so far. Park looked out at the peaceful fields again. Children played in the streets below. Kim Tae-min was probably finishing his work in the terraforming plant. His wife Lee So-young would be preparing dinner. Their 2 kids would be doing homework. Everything looked normal, safe. But Park had been a soldier long enough to know that safety could disappear in seconds. "Keep monitoring those ships," he told Mi-rae. "Let me know the moment anything changes." The next morning brought bad news. The alien ships had moved closer, much closer. They formed a perfect battle line just outside New Eden's small defense grid. Park met with his senior staff in the emergency meeting room. Nam Hyun-soo looked grim. "They won't answer our calls, not even basic greeting protocols." Choi Jun-woo, the chief engineer, shook his head. "Our defense platforms are old, good for pirates or small raiders. But against 200 warships?" He didn't need to finish the sentence. "What about evacuation?" asked Dr. Mi-rae. "Where would we go?" Park said. "Our transport ships can't outrun warships, and we can't fit 50,000 people in them anyway." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. If these aliens wanted to hurt them, there wasn't much they could do to stop it. Then the communication system crackled to life. A harsh, alien voice filled the room. The translator worked, but the words it spoke made no sense. "Human contamination detected. Galactic purity protocols activated. Removal begins now." "What does that mean?" whispered Jun-woo. They found out soon enough. The first energy blast hit the northern district. The explosion was so bright it hurt to look at. Where families had lived moments before, only fire remained. Park ran to the window. In the sky above, alien ships rained death on his colony. Each blast destroyed homes, schools, hospitals. People ran in the streets screaming. "All defense platforms, fire everything you have," Nam shouted into his communicator. New Eden's small defense fleet fought back. 12 platforms and 3 patrol ships against 200 alien warships. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. One by one, the defense platforms died. Each explosion in the sky meant fewer weapons to protect the colony. The patrol ships lasted a bit longer, but not much. Park grabbed the colony-wide communicator. "All civilians, get to the emergency bunkers. This is not a drill. Emergency bunkers now." In the terraforming plant, Kim Tae-min helped people escape. He guided families toward the bunker entrances. When debris started falling, he used his own body to shield a group of children. "Go, run," he shouted at them. A piece of burning metal hit him in the chest. He fell but kept pointing toward safety. "The bunkers, get to the bunkers." Lee So-young found him there later. She held his hand as he died, surrounded by the children he had saved. Choi Jun-woo stayed at his post in the engineering center. The power grid was failing. Without power, the emergency bunkers couldn't seal properly. People would die from radiation. I can reroute power from the backup generators, he told his assistant over the radio. But someone has to stay here to maintain the connection manually. Sir, the building is coming down. You need to evacuate. The bunkers need power. Keep those people safe. Jun-woo worked frantically as the ceiling cracked above him. Pipes burst. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. But the power flowed to the bunkers, right up until the building collapsed on top of him. Dr. Mi-rae ran through the burning streets to reach the communication center. If she could get a message to Earth, maybe someone could help. Maybe this wouldn't all be for nothing. The communication array was damaged but still working. She uploaded everything to the emergency transmitter. Video of the attack, recordings of the alien threats, proof of what happened here. This is Dr. Yoon Mi-rae of New Eden Colony, she said into the recorder. We are under attack by alien forces. They gave no warning, no chance to surrender. They called us contamination. They're killing everyone. She looked around at the burning colony. 50,000 innocent people lived here. They were farmers, teachers, engineers. They never hurt anyone. Remember them. Remember what happened here. Don't let them die for nothing. The communication array exploded just as she finished the transmission. She hoped it had been sent in time. Park stood in the main bunker, listening to the explosions above. 300 people had made it inside. 300 out of 50,000. The sounds of battle faded. Then there was only silence. After 6 hours, they opened the bunker doors. New Eden was gone. Buildings were melted slag. The green fields were glass and ash. The alien ships had disappeared, leaving only death behind. Park walked through the ruins of his colony. Here was where the school had been. There was the medical center. Everything was gone. He found a child's toy in the rubble. A small plastic rocket ship. Some kid had probably dreamed of flying to the stars in it. Now that kid was dead. They were all dead. Park looked up at the empty sky and made a promise to the 50,000 souls who had died here. Somehow, some way, the people who did this would pay for what they had done. Earth would know what happened at New Eden, and Earth would remember. Fleet Admiral Han Dong-wook was drinking coffee when the message arrived. It was late at night at Earth's military headquarters. Most of the staff had gone home hours ago. The communication came through the emergency channel, the one reserved for disasters and attacks. Han hadn't seen it used in 20 years. He opened the message and watched Dr. Mi-rae's recording. His coffee cup fell from his hand. It shattered on the floor, but he didn't notice. 50,000 people. Dead. All of them. Han had fought in Earth's unification wars. He had seen battle. He had seen death. But this was different. This was murder. Pure and simple. The aliens had called humans contamination. They had killed innocent farmers and children like they were cleaning up garbage. Han's hands shook with horror. These aliens had made a very big mistake. He called President Shin Jae-sung immediately. Sir, we need an emergency meeting right now. 2 hours later, the United Earth Council met in the crisis room. President Shin looked tired, but his eyes were hard as steel when he saw the New Eden footage. How many people knew about this colony? Asked Defense Minister Ro Kyung-soo. Just us, Han said. New Eden was peaceful. They never bothered anyone. These aliens attacked them without warning or reason. The council members watched the recording in silence. They saw Kim Tae-min die, protecting children. They saw Choi Jun-woo sacrifice himself to keep the power running. They saw a whole world burn. What are our options? President Shin asked. Han looked around the room. We could send a diplomatic message, ask for an explanation, maybe demand they pay for damages. And if they refuse? Han's smile was cold and terrible. Then we show them what happens when someone kills our people. Defense Minister Ro leaned forward. Admiral, what kind of response are we talking about? The kind that makes sure this never happens again. President Shin nodded slowly. Do it, whatever it takes. Han stood up. Then it's time to wake up the Ghost Fleet. For 50 years, Earth had been building ships in secret. Not just a few ships, hundreds of thousands of ships. The Ghost Fleet project was humanity's insurance policy. A hidden ace that no one knew about. The alien governments thought humans were weak. They saw Earth's small patrol fleets and laughed. They had no idea what humans could really do when they got serious. Admiral Kang Subin got the call at her hidden base in the asteroid belt. She had been waiting for this day for 30 years. Ghost Fleet Command. This is Admiral Han. Activate. Protocol 7. Confirmed, Kang said. Protocol 7 is active. All fleets report ready for deployment. Across the solar system, massive shipyards came to life. On Luna, Admiral Lee Sang-hyuk watched as the Titan-class dreadnoughts powered up their engines. Each ship was the size of a city and carried enough weapons to destroy moons. In the outer system, Captain Park Young-ho commanded the stealth destroyer fleets. His ships were invisible to most sensors, perfect for surprise attacks. The asteroid. Mining stations weren't really mining stations. They were ship factories. For decades, they had been building warships disguised as cargo haulers and research vessels. Jupiter's moons held fighter squadrons. Saturn's rings hid battle cruisers. Even the space elevators on Earth had hidden weapon systems. The call went out to every human colony in known space. Not a request, a command. This is Earth command to all human settlements. We need every ship you have, every weapon, every person willing to fight. The aliens think they can kill us without consequences. Time to prove them wrong. Captain Jang. Minho commanded a small fleet near Alpha Centauri. His ships were supposed to protect mining operations. When he got Earth's message, he didn't hesitate. All ships prepare for war cruise to Sol system. Load every weapon we have, set course for Earth. Commander Oh Yoon-ji led an experimental fighter wing on the outer rim. Her pilots were young and eager. When they heard about New Eden, they became something more dangerous. They became angry. Listen up, people, she told her squadron. Those aliens killed 50,000 innocent humans, including children. We're going to make them pay for every single life. The ships came from everywhere. Colony defense fleets, mining protection squadrons, research vessels with hidden weapons, cargo ships converted to carry missiles and marines. Within 30 days, something impossible happened. 500,000 human warships gathered around Earth. The largest military fleet in the history of the galaxy. Admiral Han stood on the bridge of his command ship, the ENS Vengeance. Through the windows, he could see ships stretching in every direction. Destroyers, cruisers, dreadnoughts, fighters, carriers. More firepower than any one species had ever assembled. Admiral, called his communications officer. We're receiving messages from alien governments. They want to know what we're doing. Tell them, Han said. Tell them exactly what we're doing. We're going to find the ones who killed our people, and we're going to destroy them. The Eldorian Republic sent Ambassador Zefval to negotiate. The Eldorians were peaceful traders who had been neutral for centuries. Admiral Han, the ambassador said over the communication link. This level of military buildup could destabilize the entire galaxy. Surely there's a peaceful solution. Han's reply was ice cold. There was a peaceful solution. 50,000 humans were living peaceful lives on New Eden. The aliens chose war when they killed innocent people. Now they get war. But 500,000 ships was what happens when you murder human children, Han cut him off. Tell every government in the galaxy. Tell them what Earth does to anyone who harms our people. The Ghost Fleet began to move. 500,000 warships left Earth's solar system in perfect formation. It was beautiful and terrible to watch. Admiral Kang Subin commanded the fast attack wings, 100,000 small deadly ships that could strike like lightning. Admiral Lee Sang-hyuk led the heavy assault division, massive dreadnoughts that could break through any defense. Captain Park Young-ho took his stealth ships ahead as scouts. They would find the enemy first and report back. As the fleet traveled through space, other alien species watched in fear and amazement. No one had imagined humans could build so many ships. No one had thought they were that advanced. The Crystalline Consortium, Ancient traders who had seen empires rise and fall quietly began helping the humans. They provided star charts and information about alien military positions. "Why are you helping them?" asked other alien leaders. "Because," said the consortium elders, "we have never seen genocide answered with such swift justice. The humans are not conquerors. They are avengers, and their cause is right." Meanwhile, the aliens who had destroyed New Eden were beginning to panic. Supreme Commander Velthar of the Vorthak hegemony received reports of the approaching human fleet. 500,000 ships? "That's impossible," he shouted at his officers. "Humans are primitive. They barely have any military." "Sir, our long-range sensors confirm it. The largest fleet in galactic history is coming this way, and they're all flying human flags." Velthar had expected maybe a dozen ships in response to New Eden's destruction, a token force that he could easily crush. The reality of 500,000 human warships filled him with terror. "What have we done?" he whispered. Admiral Han stood on his command bridge watching the stars pass by. The journey to Vorthak space would take months, but he was patient. He had been planning this moment for 50 years. Dr. Yun Mi-rae, one of the few survivors from New Eden, worked with the fleet's science teams. She helped develop new weapons, special tools designed to break through alien shields and armor. "For Kim Taemin," she said as she finished calibrating a new missile system. "For Choi Jun-woo, for all of them." The human fleet moved through space, like a force of nature. Unstoppable. Inevitable. Earth had sent its answer to New Eden's destruction. 500,000 warships carrying one simple message: "You made a mistake." The human fleet moved through space like a river of steel and fire. 500,000 ships in perfect formation, stretching across light years of empty space. Admiral Han Dong-wook stood on the bridge of the ENS Vengeance, watching the stars ahead. His command ship was massive, but it was just one dot in the huge fleet around him. "Status report," he called out. "All fleets reporting ready, sir," said his communications officer. "Admiral Kang reports the fast attack wings are in position. Admiral Lee confirms the heavy ships are maintaining formation." Han nodded. The journey to Vorthak space would take 3 months. 3 months to prepare for the largest space battle in galactic history. Behind them, Earth's factories worked day and night. More ships, more weapons, more supplies for the fleet. President Shin had converted the entire planet to a war economy. Every human settlement contributed something to the cause. "Admiral," called the sensor operator, "we're getting signals from alien ships ahead. They're keeping their distance, but they're watching us." "Let them watch," Han said. "Let them count our ships. Let them tell their friends what's coming." The news of the human fleet spread across the galaxy faster than the ships themselves. Alien governments that had ignored humans for centuries suddenly paid attention. On the peaceful world of Aldoria, Ambassador Zephyval met with his council. "The humans have launched the largest military operation in galactic history. 500,000 warships." "Impossible," said one counselor. "No single species has that many ships." "See for yourself." Zephyval showed them the long-range sensor. "Data. They've been building in secret for decades. We never knew how advanced they really were." The Eldorian Council fell silent as they watched the endless stream of human ships pass by their space. "What do they want?" asked another counselor. "Justice," Zephyval said simply. "The Vorthak killed 50,000 innocent humans. Now Earth wants revenge." Meanwhile, the Crystalline Consortium called an emergency meeting. These ancient traders had stayed neutral for thousands of years. But what they had seen at New Eden changed everything. "The Vorthak committed genocide," said Elder Crystal Velnara. "They killed civilians without warning, without reason." "It is not our way to take sides in wars," reminded another elder. "This is not a war," Velnara replied. "This is justice. The humans seek only to punish those who murdered their people. I say we help them." The consortium voted. For the first time in their history, they chose a side. Captain Bei Jin-soo commanded the human scout ships. His stealth vessels moved ahead of the main fleet, gathering intelligence on enemy positions. "Sir," reported his sensor officer. "We've found the first Vorthak defense line. 50,000 ships protecting their border worlds." Bae studied the tactical display. The aliens had built a strong defense, but not strong enough. "Send the data back to Admiral Han. Tell him the enemy is preparing for us." The information reached the main fleet within hours. Admiral Han called a meeting of his senior commanders. "The Vorthak have assembled their full military," he told them. 300,000 ships total. They've pulled back from all their other territories to face us. Admiral Kang Subin, commander of the fast attack wings, smiled coldly. "They're scared." "Good." "What about civilian populations?" asked Admiral Lee Sang-hyuk. "Our target is military only," Han said firmly. "We're not like them. We don't kill innocents, but their military will be completely destroyed." Dr. Yoon Mi-rae, working with the fleet's science division, had been busy during the journey. Professor Cho Woo-sung, the fleet's head scientist, helped her develop new weapons. "The Vorthak shields use rotating frequencies," Mi-rae explained to the assembled officers. "I've designed missiles that can match those frequencies. They'll go right through their defenses." "How many do we have?" asked Han. 50 million missiles. One for every ship in their fleet, plus extras." The preparations continued as the fleet moved deeper into space. Each day brought them closer to Vorthak territory. Each day the tension grew stronger. Commander Oh Yoon-ji trained her fighter pilots relentlessly. These young men and women would be the tip of humanity's spear in the coming battle. "Remember," she told them, "the aliens think we're weak. They think we're just peaceful farmers and traders. Show them how wrong they are." Captain Jang Min-ho worked with the civilian volunteers. These were colonists and miners who had joined the fleet to avenge New Eden. They weren't professional soldiers, but they had something more important: burning desire for justice. "My brother lived on New Eden," one volunteer told Jang. "He was a teacher. The aliens killed him while he was protecting his students." "Then we'll make sure those aliens never hurt another teacher," Jang promised. As the fleet moved forward, smaller alien species began choosing sides. Some fled to neutral space, terrified of being caught in the coming war. Others remembered their own losses to Vorthak aggression. The hegemony had been bullying smaller species for decades. Now they saw a chance for their own justice. The Meklar, Unity, reptilian beings who had lost 3 colonies to Vorthak expansion, sent a secret message to Admiral Han. "We cannot provide ships," their leader said, "but we can give you detailed maps of Vorthak space, hidden routes, weak points in their defenses." "Why help us?" Han asked. "Because you fight for the same thing we have always wanted, the right to reign. Exist in peace without fear." The information proved valuable. Captain Park Young-ho used the hidden routes to position his stealth ships throughout Vorthak space. They would strike the first blow when the battle began. Supreme Commander Velthar of the Vorthak hegemony watched the approaching human fleet with growing terror. His officers brought him reports every day. "The humans have reached the outer marker," one reported. "Our scouts confirm 500,000 ships." "How is this possible?" Velthar demanded. 3 months ago, humans barely had 100 ships in their entire navy. "Sir, intelligence suggests they've been building in secret for 50 years. This fleet represents their entire military capability." Velthar stared at the tactical display, showing the human formation. It was beautiful and terrible. Perfect discipline, perfect coordination. "What do they want?" he asked. "Surrender of all forces responsible for the New Eden attack, sir. Complete disarmament of our military. And they want you, sir. They want you to stand trial for genocide." Velthar had killed 50,000 humans thinking it would be a simple message to keep them in their place. Now he realized he had awakened something far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. "Prepare for battle," he ordered. "Alert all commands. The humans want a war. We'll give them one." But even as he spoke, Velthar knew the truth. The Vorthak had 300,000 ships. The humans had 500,000. The math was simple and terrifying. The human fleet reached the edge of Vorthak space exactly 90 days after leaving Earth. Admiral Han stood on his bridge, looking at the enemy homeworld on his display screen. "Open a channel to all ships," he commanded. Fleet-wide broadcast. The communication links activated, connecting him to 500,000 human warriors. "People of Earth," Han began. "3 months ago, aliens murdered 50,000 of our people. They killed farmers and teachers. They killed children. They called us contamination and tried to wipe us out." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Today we show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens humanity. Today we prove that human lives have value, that human blood demands justice." On ships across the fleet, humans stood at attention. Veterans and volunteers, soldiers and civilians, all united by one purpose. "The enemy thinks they know us," Han continued. "They think we're weak. They think we'll run away when faced with their threats. But they never understood the most important thing about humans." He looked out at the Vorthak fleet waiting in the distance. "We never abandon our own, and we never forget." The human fleet began its final approach to the enemy lines. 500,000 ships moving as one, carrying the fury of an entire species. The Battle of Vorthak Prime was about to begin. Admiral Han Dong-wook opened a communication channel to Vorthak Prime. His voice carried across space to the homeworld of the species that had murdered 50,000 innocent humans. "Vorthak High Command, this is Fleet Admiral Han Dong-wook of Earth. You destroyed our colony at New Eden. You killed our people without warning or mercy. Today, you face the consequences of your actions." On the alien homeworld, Supreme Commander Velthar listened with growing dread. The human fleet filled his sensors like a wall of metal and death. "Human Admiral," Velthar replied, trying to sound strong. "You are in Vorthak space without permission. Leave now, or face our full military might." Han's laugh was cold and bitter. "Your full military might? We count 300,000 ships. We brought 500,000. Your math is simple, alien. Surrender now, or we will destroy every military vessel in your empire. We will never surrender to contaminated humans. Then you have chosen death." The battle began with silence. No horns, no dramatic speeches, just the quiet activation of weapon systems across 500,000 human warships. Captain Park Young-ho struck first. His stealth destroyers had been hiding throughout Vorthak space for weeks. At Admiral Han's signal, they attacked the orbital defense platforms around the alien homeworld. The Vorthak never saw them coming. One moment, their defenses were strong and ready. The next moment, explosions bloomed across their orbital stations like deadly flowers. "Defense grid down 60%, screamed a Vorthak officer. "How? Where did they come from?" Before Velthar could answer, the main human fleet attacked. Admiral Kang Subin's fast attack wings moved first. 100,000 small, deadly ships swept through the outer Vorthak lines like a swarm of angry wasps. The alien ships tried to form battle lines, but the humans were too fast, too coordinated. Human fighters danced between the larger ships, striking weak points and disappearing before return fire could find them. Commander Oh Yoonji led her squadron through the chaos. Her pilots had trained for this moment for months. They knew every weakness in Vorthak ship design. "Target their engine sections," she called over the radio. Dr. Mireille's analysis was correct. "Hit them there, and they can't maneuver." Her fighters struck like lightning. Vorthak cruisers found themselves spinning helplessly as their engines died under precisely targeted attacks. The aliens tried to respond, but their formations were already breaking apart. Human ships attacked from every direction at once. Admiral Lee Sang-hyuk brought his Titan-class dreadnoughts into range. These massive ships were the size of cities, covered in weapons that could destroy moons. "All Titan units, commence bombardment," he ordered. The dreadnoughts fired. Energy beams thick as buildings lanced across space. Where they touched Vorthak ships, nothing remained but expanding clouds of gas and metal. One Vorthak battlecruiser tried to ram a human dreadnought. The alien ship struck the Titan's shields and simply vanished, destroyed by the impact while the human ship barely noticed. Captain Jang Min-ho led the civilian volunteers into the heart of the battle. These miners and colonists fought with desperate fury. They had lost friends and family to Vorthak attacks over the years. "For New Eden!" they screamed as they charged into the enemy lines. The volunteers' ships weren't as advanced as military vessels, but they were commanded by people who had nothing left to lose. They performed impossible maneuvers, taking risks that professional soldiers wouldn't attempt. A mining ship commanded by Li Kwang-ho rammed straight through a Vorthak destroyer. His ship was destroyed, but he took 3 enemy vessels with him. "This is for my daughter," he screamed over the radio as his ship exploded. Dr. Yoon Mi-rae watched the battle from the science vessel, where she coordinated new weapon deployment. Her special missiles cut through Vorthak shields like they weren't there. "Frequency matching successful," she reported to Admiral Han. "Their shields are useless against our new weapons." The Vorthak fleet tried to retreat and regroup, but there was nowhere to go. Human ships surrounded them on all sides. Captain Park's stealth vessels appeared behind their lines. Admiral Kang's fast attack wings struck from above and below. Supreme Commander Velthar watched his Empire's fleet die around him. Ship after ship vanished from his tactical display. "Sir, we've lost half our fleet," reported his tactical officer. "How long has the battle been running?" 47 minutes, sir." 47 minutes. In less than an hour, the humans had destroyed half the Vorthak military. Ships that had taken years to build were dying by the hundreds. "Request immediate reinforcement from all sectors," Velthar ordered. "Sir, these are all our reinforcements. Every ship in the Empire is already here." The truth hit Velthar like a physical blow. This was everything the Vorthak had. 300,000 ships. The entire military might of their civilization. And the humans were winning easily. Admiral Han's voice came over the communication channel again. "Vorthak Commander, your fleet is broken. Your orbital defenses are destroyed. Surrender now and we will spare your civilian populations." "Never. We fight to the last ship." "As you wish." The human fleet pressed forward. What had started as a battle became a massacre. The Vorthak ships were tough, but they were overwhelmed by superior numbers, better technology, and the burning fury of humanity. Commander Oh Eun-ji's fighters swept through the remaining alien formations. Her pilots had gotten so good at hitting weak points that they could disable enemy ships without destroying them completely. "Leave some alive for questioning," she told her squadron. "We want to know about other colonies they might have attacked." The last Vorthak battle group made a desperate charge at Admiral Han's command ship. 50 ships against 500,000. It was brave and completely pointless. Admiral Lee's dreadnoughts simply vaporized them. As the smoke cleared, silence fell over the battlefield. The space around Vorthak Prime was filled with the wreckage of their fleet. 300,000 ships reduced to scrap metal and debris. On the human side, fewer than 100 ships had been damaged. Only 12 were destroyed. Supreme Commander Velthar sat in his command chair, staring at the empty tactical display. His entire fleet was gone. Destroyed in less than 2 hours by an enemy he had thought was weak and primitive. "Sir," whispered his communications officer, "the humans are sending a message." Dr. Yoon Mi-rae's face appeared on the screen. She looked older than when she had fled New Eden, but her eyes burned with satisfaction. "Supreme Commander Velthar," she said, "I am Dr. Yoon Mi-rae, survivor of New Eden Colony. You remember New Eden, the peaceful farming world you destroyed for no reason?" Velthar said nothing. 50,000 innocent people lived there, Mi-rae continued. Farmers, teachers, children. You killed them all. You called them contamination. She leaned closer, to the camera. Today, the galaxy learned what real contamination looks like. It looks like 500,000 human warships turning your entire fleet into space dust. Admiral Han's voice joined the transmission. "Vorthak Prime, you will surrender immediately. All military personnel will be taken into custody. You will be tried for crimes against humanity." "And if I refuse?" Velthar asked weakly. "Then we will demonstrate what our weapons can do to planets." Velthar looked around his command center. His officers stared at him with fear and despair. Outside, the human fleet waited like a pack of wolves. He had started this war by murdering innocents. Now his entire civilization faced destruction because of his arrogance. He began, then stopped. The words stuck in his throat. I surrender, he finally whispered. The Vorthak hegemony surrenders unconditionally. Admiral Han nodded. Wise choice. You will be taken to Earth to stand trial. Your military will be completely disbanded. Your government will pay reparations to New Eden survivors. How much? Velthar asked. Han's smile was sharp as a blade. Everything. You will give everything you have. It still won't be enough to bring back the 50,000 people you murdered, but it's a start. The Battle of Vorthak Prime was over. The largest space battle in galactic history had lasted less than 2 hours. The Vorthak hegemony, a major power that had controlled dozens of worlds, was finished. As human ships moved to secure the alien homeworld, news of the victory spread across the galaxy. In a single day, humanity had proven itself the dominant military force in known space. The species that had dismissed humans as weak farmers now watched in terror as Earth's fleet patrolled their space. Admiral Han stood on his bridge, looking out at the defeated alien world. Send a message to Earth, he ordered. New Eden has been avenged. 6 months after the Battle of Vorthak Prime, the galaxy was a different place. The human fleet didn't simply go home after their victory. They stayed, patrolling space and making sure everyone understood the new rules. Admiral Han Dong-wook stood in what used to be the Vorthak High Command Center. Now it served as headquarters for the Human Defense Initiative. Through the large windows, he could see human ships orbiting the alien homeworld. Status report, he called to his staff. All former Vorthak colonies have been secured, reported Captain Kim Yeon-soo. Local governments are cooperating with our transition teams. What about the war criminals? Supreme Commander Velthar and his senior staff are in custody on Earth. President Shin says the trials will begin next month. Han nodded. Justice was slow, but it was coming. The aliens who had ordered the murder of 50,000 innocent humans would face the consequences of their actions. Dr. Yoon Mi-rae entered the command center carrying a datapad. She looked tired but satisfied. Admiral, I have the final report on New Eden's restoration. How does it look? The cleanup is complete. The radiation is gone. The soil is fertile again. The first group of new colonists arrived yesterday. Han smiled. It was the first real smile he'd had in months. Good. New Eden will live again. The restoration of New Eden had become a symbol across the galaxy. Where once there had been death and destruction, humans had rebuilt life and hope. The new colony was bigger and stronger than before, protected by an entire fleet. President Shin Jae-sung arrived for his monthly inspection. The journey from Earth took 3 days now, thanks to new faster-than-light technology that human scientists had developed during the war. Admiral, the president greeted Han. How are our new neighbors? Adjusting? Better than expected, sir. Most alien species are eager to cooperate. They've seen what happens to those who threaten human colonies. The change in galactic politics had been dramatic. Species that had ignored humanity for centuries now sent ambassadors begging for trade, agreements and defense pacts. The Eldorian Republic, once proud mediators, had been among the first to seek human protection. Ambassador Zephival now worked closely with human diplomats to maintain peace in his sector. We have learned, he told Han during their weekly meeting, that true peace requires strength to defend it. Your people understand this better than most. The Sawa Crystalline Consortium expanded their trade relationships with human colonies. These ancient traders had chosen the right side during the war, and now they profited from humanity's growing influence. The humans are good for business, Elder Crystal Velnara explained to other alien leaders. They build, they trade, they protect. Much better than the Vorthak, who only conquered and destroyed. But the most important change was in human space itself. Admiral Kang Subin now commanded the Outer Rim Defense Force. Her ships patrolled the edges of human territory, making sure no other colony would ever face New Eden's fate. Sir, she reported to Han during their monthly conference call, we've had 3 separate alien governments request permission to settle in human space. They want our protection. What did you tell them? The same thing we tell everyone. Follow human law, respect human rights, and you're welcome. Try to hurt our people, and you'll face the full might of Earth's fleet. Commander Oh Yoonji had been promoted to colonel and now trained fighter pilots from a dozen different species. Her academy on Luna was the most respected military school in the galaxy. The alien cadets learn fast, she told Han during his visit to the academy. They've all heard stories about human fighter tactics. They want to learn from the best. Her students included young Aldorians, reformed Vorthak who had proven their loyalty, and even a few crystalline beings who wanted to protect their merchant convoys. Captain Jang Min-ho commanded the Colonial Defense Corps. These were the civilian volunteers who had fought so bravely at Vorthak Prime. Now they served as the first line of defense for human settlements throughout the galaxy. Every colony has its own defense fleet now, he reported to Han. No one will ever catch us unprepared. Again, the former mining captain had become a hero to colonists everywhere. His story proved that ordinary humans could stand up to any threat when they worked together. On New Eden itself, life was returning to normal. The new colonial administrator was Park Jin-ho, Park Dae-ho's nephew. He had volunteered for the job to honor his uncle's memory. Uncle Dae-ho always said this was the most beautiful world he'd ever seen, Park Jin-ho told the new settlers. We're going to make it beautiful again. The colony's new chief engineer was Choi Hyun-bin, nephew of Choi Jun-woo, who had died protecting the power grid during the original attack. Hyun-bin designed the new settlement with both beauty and defense in mind. My uncle died keeping the lights on, he explained to his construction crews. This time our lights will never go out. The memorial garden at the center of New Eden honored all 50,000 victims of the original attack. Kim Taemin's statue showed him protecting children, just as he had died doing. Lee So-young's memorial recognized her work as a teacher and community leader. But the most visited memorial was the simple stone bearing Park Dae-ho's name. The inscription read, "He kept his people safe until the very end." Dr. Yoon-mi Ray had become Earth's first ambassador for colonial security. Her job was to make sure the lessons of New Eden guided humanity's expansion throughout the galaxy. We are builders by nature, she said in her famous speech to the Galactic Council. We plant crops and raise families. We explore and discover, but we are also protectors. Anyone who threatens our children, our farmers, our peaceful colonies, will learn what human fury looks like. The speech was broadcast across the galaxy. It became humanity's official policy statement, warning potential aggressors while reassuring allies. Meanwhile, the trials of the Vorthak war criminals proceeded on Earth. Supreme Commander Velthar faced charges of genocide, crimes against humanity, and violation of galactic law. I was following orders, he claimed during his testimony. The prosecutor, a human lawyer named Yoon Sang-min, showed footage of New Eden's children running from the bombardment. Whose orders were those children following when you killed them? He asked. Velthar had no answer. The trials were broadcast live throughout human space. Colonial families watched as justice was finally served for New Eden's victims. When the verdicts came down, they were unanimous. Guilty on all charges. Velthar and his senior officers would spend the rest of their lives in prison. The Vorthak, people themselves, were treated more kindly. Most had never known about New Eden's destruction. Many were horrified when they learned what their government had done. We are not our leaders, said Kelnara, a young Vorthak who had joined the human colonial service. Judge us by our actions, not by the crimes of those who came before. Humans proved they could forgive as well as fight. Former Vorthak colonies received aid and protection. Young Vorthak were welcome in human schools and universities, but everyone understood the price of aggression against humanity. A year after the battle, Admiral Han received a visit from his old friend Captain Park Young-ho. The stealth ship commander brought news from the frontier. Admiral, we've made contact with a new alien species, the Cathari Union. They've heard about New Eden and the war. What do they want? To avoid making the same mistake the Vorthak did, they're requesting formal relations with Earth. Han smiled. Good. The message is spreading. The message was simple and clear. Humanity was peaceful, but not weak. They would trade, explore, and build throughout the galaxy. They would make friends with anyone willing to live in peace, but they would never again allow genocide to go unanswered. The final image of the new galactic order was visible from Earth itself. 500,000 human warships remained in space, no longer hidden but proudly displayed in formation around the homeworld. They served as both a promise and a warning. A promise to protect every human colony, no matter how small or distant. A warning to anyone who might think humans were easy targets. Children on Earth grew up seeing those ships every night, twinkling like stars in the sky. They learned the story of New Eden. They learned about Park Dae-ho and Kim Tae-min and all the others who had died. Most importantly, they learned the lesson Admiral Han had taught the galaxy. Human lives have value. Human blood demands justice. And Earth never abandons its own. The age of humanity being pushed around by alien empires was over. In its place rose something new, an era where human colonies expanded under the protection of the largest fleet in galactic history, where peaceful species found safety under human law, and where the phrase "Remember New Eden" served as both a battle cry and a promise. Never again would innocent humans die while Earth stood by helpless. Never again would anyone mistake human mercy for weakness. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity, and Earth was just getting started.